let's remove this cross member from here. This is a 15mm socket and this is 16. We're going to remove this intake pipe now. So before we try and pull this out of here, there's a little 8mm screw, so remove that first. We've removed this screw from here. Now pull this out. There's a couple of tabs that hold it in place, and this should just come out now. You can see the bottom tab and the top tab lock in place, and this just slides in. The next thing I'm gonna remove is this cross member as well, because it's in the way. I want to remove this pipe as well. In order to do that, you're gonna have a Ghibli clamp underneath, and then once you remove that clamp, then remove the sensor here and then pull this out. The top of this the filter housing should just lift up and slide out. Now let's lift this tab up and just unplug this sensor. I'm going to remove this Ghibli clip here. So what I'm using is this extra long 1/4" ratchet with a extension and a 6mm socket on it. So just insert it on the bolt, on the clip, and just gently loosen it. So this will loosen the pipe at the bottom. Then we're going to have to unclip the harness from here so we can gently lift it up and then slide it out of the filter housing. Okay, that should be sufficient. It is loose and it's moving. So let's just remove this. Okay, we've loosened the clamp here. We've moved these harnesses out of the way, the cables. Now what you want to do is just pull this out and just unclip it from here, and then you want to lift this up so you can slide it out of the way. We've got this pipe open here, so we don't want to drop anything in it. So what I will do is I'm going to try and stretch a glove and put on top of it just to close this hole, because I don't want to drop anything inside. In order to gain proper access to the EGR valve, we're going to need to loosen this E-Torx bolt here, which is E6. So you can see this is a special E internal Torx bolt. So we're going to loosen this, and we're going to remove this harness, or we're going to slightly or gently just lift it out of the way so we can gain proper access. Okay, that's the bolt. What you want to do is you want to push this pipe, push it forward and twist it gently until you're able to see this clamp, this retaining clamp, and just lift it up and pull it out. Okay, now you've got another thing to remove here. This is a little sensor cable, so just disconnect that, let it hang there in place, go back a little bit, and just move this out of the way, or just pull it out. We're looking through the throttle body here. As you can see how badly clogged up this this pipe is. I've seen a lot over the years, but this is one of the worst examples. We've got probably about 80% restriction here, so it's gonna make massive difference when it's cleaned up. In order to remove this electrical plug here, you need to release this tab, so lift it up. Now I'm going to try and carefully show you on the other side. There's another one, so you need to lift this up, and then if you can't do it by hand, just use just gently, obviously, a pair of vice grips or big pliers, and just pull it out. So this is what you want to remove. You want to remove this here. It's pushed down, so you want to lift it up, and then this one is down, so you want to lift this up as well. just pull it out like that. So this is the cable for the EGR valve. And now we're going to remove some more cabling here in order to be able to lift this harness so we can gain access, but just better access to the EGR valve. Got another connector here. We're going to continue with the removal of the parts here in order to remove the intake plenum. So what I wanted to show you is just look at this dirt here. You can see it. Let me just point with my airline here so you can see this. You want to blow this out before you start removing the intake, because all this dirt is going to end up in your intake if you're not careful. So plug everything that you've opened up and just give this a good blast. So in order to remove the intake, you're going to have to remove a lot of cables and hoses here. So let's see what's next. So we have this bolt here that holds the wiring harness to the manifold. So we're gonna remove that. We've already removed one of them here, and I can see the next thing is going to be in the way is going to be this positive terminal for the alternator. So I'm gonna remove that next. This is a 13mm nut. Obviously, at this point you have removed the negative terminal from your battery because you don't want any short circuits here. So it's very important before you start doing anything like that to remove the battery. So I'm going to place the positive terminal. Actually, I'm going to put this back in here. I'm going to put the positive terminal from the alternator at the back here so it's not obstructing me. Now what I have removed so far, which I didn't show you, is this plug. This sits right behind the oil filter housing here, and this is a temperature sensor, I believe. And I'll be careful with these cables. Just let me show you. This is so fragile and it's literally crackling. It's breaking up. So the protection for the cable here, it's really badly heated and it's cracking and it's breaking. So I will be replacing this with a new one because I don't want this to fray on the cable and to damage the cables. So as I said, I've removed this. I'm going to need to remove this cable here as well. This is the alternator regulator cable. So just be very careful, don't pull hard on anything at all, just be super gentle, as there's a lot of parts to be removed here and a lot of cable and you don't want to damage anything. Now there's another connector here on the AC compressor, so I'm going to have to try and wiggle this out of the way as well. That's that out. Okay, so we're going to leave the harness as it is for now because I don't have enough clearance. And the next thing we're going to remove is these bolts here that hold the EGR pipe. Now these are internal 8, so that's E8. So loosen these. This was probably one of the hardest connector I have ever had to remove in my life. I wanted to be super gentle because obviously I don't want to break it. But this was obviously never ever removed. Okay, let's proceed with the next step. Okay, I've removed this pipe from the joint here, so we've gained a little bit more space for the wiring. This is obviously, we want to have this out of the way. Okay, the throttle body wiring harness as well. This is actually quite easy to remove, so just pull it out, squeeze on it, pull it out. It came out easy enough. I want to show you this rusty mess here, so really don't know how I'm gonna take these out. They're so badly corroded. And let's see what we can do. There's one underneath, even worse. I managed to free up the top one, but the bottom one is really bad. The head is completely collapsed, so I'm gonna have to remove the whole EGR cooler. In order to remove this EGR cooler, you have two bolts here. These are T45. This one is not too bad. We can access it, although it's still tight with these air conditioning hoses here, but the bottom one is going to be a problem. So let's see if I can insert my long Torx bit. This is 3/8 ratchet. Oh. Just be prepared to catch the coolant here, because when you pull the cooler out, fair bit of coolant will come out. So if you have a plug, try and plug it in, maybe a silicone plug or something like that. If not, just let it drain and then just filter it or replace your coolant. At this point, the only thing holding the cooler in place is the vacuum line, which is connected to the plastic black actuator on the cooler. So pull this out gently. In my case, it broke, so what I suggest to do is to just sacrifice a little bit of the hose and just split it with a Stanley knife in order to protect the actuator, because they get so hot, they get brittle. I bought a new one, which wasn't too expensive, but if you want to avoid that, just split it.